Okay, now we're going to be talking about we're still in Module 4. And this is, we're still talking about slopes of lines, but we're going to talk about the slope-intercept form of a line. And all we're saying is the way this equation is written is a special way to write it, and it gives us a lot of information. So again, this is section 3.4 in the ebook. Okay, so remember a couple sections ago we talked about the standard form of a line. Standard form of an equation of a line, and that we said it was in the form ax plus by equals c. Or in other words, as an example, I might have 2x plus 3y equals 6. Now we're going to be talking about the slope-intercept. Form of a line. And in this case, we have it looks like y. So you have y by itself on one side of the equal sign. Equals m times x plus b. And the reason we call it the slope-intercept is because we can figure out from this equation very quickly what our slope is and what our y-intercept is. So the m, as we did in our last section, is our slope. That was the equation. Remember, we were figuring out how to find the slope of an equation of a line. Right, and then this is called the y-intercept. It means it's where the line crosses the y-axis, and that has a coordinate 0 and whatever b is. So if I gave you an equation of a line that said y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2, what this is saying is that negative 2/3 is my slope, and my y-intercept 0, 2 is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so now we want to be able to identify. The slope and a y-intercept if we're given an equation. So, for example, identifying slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so for example, if I gave the equation y equals 4x plus 6, this is in the correct form, right, because my y is by itself. The slope is just the coefficient that's with my x. So my slope equals 4, right? Or later on, just so you get familiar with this, if it's a whole number like that, it's just 4 over 1. And my y-intercept is simply 0, 6. Right, so this is my slope, 4. Right? And this is my y-intercept, the number that's by itself. Okay, so let's see if we had an equation in a slightly different format. If I gave you y equals 3.5x minus 4.2. So notice, right, our form was y equals m times x plus b. So you could think of this as y equals 3.5x plus negative 4.2. Right, in which case now if we identify our slope, that's simply 3.5. Right, it's the number that's with my x. It does not include the x. And my y-intercept is 0, negative 4.2. Okay, how about y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. So again, if I have a fraction, that's okay. That's still my coefficient of x. So my slope is simply the number that's in front of my x, negative 2/3, and my y-intercept is 0, 1. And then one more example. If I have the equation y equals negative 7x. Well, so that's kind of like what I'm looking for, right? I have y equals mx plus b. So let's think about this. This is like y equals negative 7x. And I can add as many zeros as I want, right? So it's almost like adding a 0 there. So now my slope is going to be just the coefficient of my x term, which is negative 7, right? Or negative 7 over 1. And my y-intercept is the point 0, 0. Notice though, if my y-intercept is 0, 0, that means that this line goes through the origin. So when you graph it, it should go right through the origin. Right? And that's where your x and your y axes cross. Okay, so sometimes, however, so if you notice here, we always had the equations that we've been working with so far always had y equals something, right? It was already solved for y. But that's not always the case. So sometimes I might be given the equation in standard form. So given 2x minus 6y equals negative 3. So this is in standard form. The first thing we want to do, if we want to find the slope and the y-intercept, we need to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, what that means is solve the equation for y. Okay, and we remember how to do all that. Basically, we want to get y by itself. So I have 2x minus 6y equals negative 3. Right, so this is the term that I want to get by itself first, right? So I want to get rid of this 2x. And how do I do that? Well, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Right, 2x minus 2x goes away, so I simply have negative 6y now, equals, and I have a minus 3, negative 3 minus 2x. I want you to get in the habit of writing the x term first. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 6y equals negative 2x minus 3. Okay. Now what do I need to do to get y by itself? Well, I'm multiplying by negative 6, so I need to divide everything through by negative 6. Right? So now these cancel to 1, so I simply get y equals negative 2 over negative 6 is just 1/3, right, x, and then negative 3 divided by negative 6 is plus 1/2. So now I've converted my standard form into my slope-intercept form. Now, and from here, I can identify my slope and my y-intercept. Right, so the first thing I had to do was to convert it from standard to slope-intercept, and now I can identify my slope and y-intercept. Okay, so again, let's take a look. Our slope is simply the coefficient that's with my x term, x. So my slope here is 1/3, and my y-intercept is the point. My x is always 0, and it's just the whatever my b was, which is 1/2.